Hey guys, welcome to the channel and another video. Today I'm going to be watching Dr. No by Terrence Young, starring Sean Connery. I've watched all the Pierce Brosnan and Daniel Craig Bonds before, but I realized I still haven't watched the older ones starring Connery, Moore, Dalton, or that one-off Lazenby performance. I tried watching Goldfinger about 15 years ago, but I found it a little too cheesy for my tastes. At least that's what I remember. I was about to start watching the franchise on my own time, but I figured watching it with you guys would give me more context. I really love the insights you guys provide in the comments. I chose Dr. No because it's the first of the franchise, and apparently this is the one Bond first says Bond, James Bond. Apart from that, I know the villain is called Dr. No, and the secret organization Spectre is introduced here. I realize that the Bond franchise has its ups and downs, so please let me know which ones are worth watching on the channel and which ones I should watch on my own time. But before we get into it, to help support the channel, I have a Patreon page for full-length reactions to over 80 movies, early access, and weekly polls for what to watch next. You'll need your own copy to watch along. The link's in the description below, by the way. Please consider being a patron, please subscribe to the channel, do check out my other videos, like if you liked this video, dislike it if you didn't. With all that being said, let's get started. Dr. No, Young, Connery, let's go. The first film had the classic intro with the iconic music. And I love the fact that it's done so manually. Oh man, I love the stylization. It's very 60s. Very creative indeed. The credits are shown at the beginning, so I don't expect a lot of credits at the end.
They want to show that cat the attitude of tree blind mice.
And this sounds like West Indian music. Yeah, it's definitely Kingston, Jamaica.
The puss will get that knife a trifle in a tree.
Yeah, it's probably Marley.
Afraid I must leave you for a few minutes.
Anyway, hurry back before the cards get cold.
20 minutes.
They sound so British. I'll be right back, 20 minutes. Whoa, whoa, whoa! They were assassins!
W6N.
Receiving you. Over.
This must be his assistant, Strangeways, and she's dead. Dr. No! They're stealing files.
Hello, W6N. Over. W6N, Kingston, Jamaica, broken contact, sir, just after they came up on routine transmission.
No, I'm looking for Mr. James Bond.
C'est à la banque.
Bond.
James Bond.
James Bond.
The first time we hear that.
Too bad you have to go. Just as things were getting interesting.
007 is here, sir. We've been burning the air between here and Jamaica for the last 3 hours.
Good evening, sir.
$5 million worth of missile aimed at a spot in the South Atlantic. But finishing up in the middle of the Brazilian jungle's bad enough. I want to know what's happened to Strangways. Give me a gun. If you carry a 00 number, it means you're licensed to kill, not get killed. From now on, you carry a different gun.
Takes a Brausch silencer with very little reduction in muzzle velocity.
Any questions, 007?
No, sir.
All right, then. 007,
Sir?
just leave the Beretta.
The actual premise of all the Bond films are very similar. Something bad happens at the beginning, James Bond comes, you'll face some obstacles, but at the end, kill the bad guy and get the girl.
There. I decided to accept your invitation.
Oh.
I have to leave immediately. Almost immediately.
And Bond's on location.
I'm Mr. Joseph, chauffeur from Government House. I've been sent again.
You just take care of the bags.
He has a very suspicious look. Looks like many different parties are spying on him already.
Have you sent a car to meet me?
Car? I didn't think you wanted an official reception.
Quite right.
He already figured it out.
I told you I wasn't in a hurry.
I think there's some fella trying to follow us.
I love his watch. That's an Omega Seamaster.
Who are you working for?
Not even a threat.
Now talk.
What a weak assassin. Ah, he poisoned himself.
Cyanide in a cigarette?
Cyanide, he's dead.
Well, wherever he was from, news of my arrival leaked. I'd like to meet the last people to see Strangways.
I can introduce you at the club tonight.
Fine.
Go on in.
I love these locations, guys.
Geology a hobby of Strangways?
Not that I know of, no.
Who's the man with Strangways?
Oh, one of the local fishermen?
He drove the car that tailed me from the airport.
Is that so?
He's having a martini, I think.
One medium dry vodka martini. Mixed like you said, sir, and not stirred.
Not stirred. Can't believe the level of continuity in these films. I wonder what the difference is. They taste the same to me. What a neat trick.
That secretary of his was very nice.
Did you know her?
Oh, I've seen her around, you know.
Quarrel?
Cayman Islander. Keeps a boat in the harbor.
Everybody's playing dumb.
Your name Quarrel? I thought you might be able to tell me what happened to him. Where did you take him, in your boat?
And so far, the lighting work is very bright. There are no dark scenes to speak of yet.
Take a seat.
Ah, I'm fine.
Supposing you start the conversation. Now, how's about?
Hold it.
I didn't expect a third person. It's the dude from the airport.
Felix Leiter, Central Intelligence Agency.
He's Felix!
This is Quarrel. He's been helping
Jump up, jump up. Jump up, jump up.
I think that girl is from the airport.
Strangways and Quarrel checked the offshore islands.
You found nothing?
Not a thing.
Checked them all thoroughly?
All except Crab Key. We didn't have no right to go there.
Why not?
It belongs to a Chinese.
Another picture.
Get her, Quarrel.
Make the number one.
Why do you want another picture of me? Run along, freelance.
You'll all be sorry, you rats.
Okay.
Belongs to a Chinese character. He won't allow anyone to land. They found nothing but a bauxite mine.
He takes some samples. We came straight back again.
I see. What else do we know about this Chinese gentleman?
Dr. No.
Dr. No. He's a Chinese villain. I didn't know that.
Your receipt.
Yes, that's right. He brought some rock samples into me for testing.
Can I see them?
I threw them away.
Allow me.
I've got to get a Crab Key.
They're on their way to Crab Key now. This is a beautiful set. I don't know how much of it they actually built for the film, but it really looks beautiful. This looks like a villain's lair for sure.
Bond came to see me this morning.
Yes, I know.
Bond had discovered those rock samples of Strangways came from Crab Key. He's not a fool. He's sure to come out here.
If he does, I shall hold you responsible. And you see what is in the cage.
A spider? I think he's meant to poison Bond with the spider.
Oh, by the way, the car you ordered, it's been delivered.
Please tell me it's an Aston Martin. And now we'll get to find out whether anybody... And it has. Yeah, it might be poison. Music cues were used so much back in the day. It just tells you what's going on. Oh man! I'd be crapping my pants if this happened to me. Yeah, it's definitely a piece of glass or something.
What can you tell me about this island?
Not much, except there's a bauxite mine there.
Yeah, that's a naughty little habit. Listening at keyholes. I just hate to think you're going to spend the whole afternoon looking for these things.
Like I said, Bond is very straightforward in this one.
Take a look at this Geiger reading.
Radiation?
Those samples Strangways brought back from Crab Key were radioactive.
You see, there's a dragon.
What?
A dragon?
Anyway, I'll be here about 7.
Oh, Mr. Bond, why don't you collect me at my apartment? I'll be waiting for you.
I'm not quite sure whether that's an Aston Martin or not, but it looks like one, I think. He's being followed again. So far, this has not been the best Bond film I've seen, but it hasn't been bad either.
How did it happen?
I think they were on their way to a funeral.
Bond with his one-liners. It all started here. This is something that hasn't changed in 50, 60 years. There's a lot of objectification going on here, but I'll just ignore that for now.
Hello? Yes, I know he's here now. I'll try and keep him here for a couple of hours.
It's rather beautiful.
Thank you.
This is like the fourth woman.
Let's go to the Blue Mountain Grill.
I'd rather stay here.
Can I have a car sent to 2171 Magenta Drive?
What's going on?
Be careful of her nail varnish.
I bet he figured it out the second he came in, but he just had to sleep with her before turning her in. So selfish, Mr. Bond. And this time around, he's the one setting the trap.
Drop it, Professor, and behind you. You shoot me and you'll end up like Strangways.
Who are you working for, Professor?
I'm working for...
Yeah, I don't blame Bond here. Alright, now he's gonna go to Crab Keys.
Now don't worry, Quarrel, everything's going to be fine.
This is an iconic scene. I've definitely seen this poster before. And we've seen this shot over and over again in the last 50 years of very attractive women rising from the ocean.
Are you alone?
What are you doing here?
I can assure you my intentions are strictly honorable.
Captain, what do you think of that?
That's a high-powered boat. Take some cover.
I think they're being tracked already.
We know you're there. This is your last chance. We'll be back with the dogs.
Okay.
Oh, there's a dragon here too.
She's right. You've seen it, hmm? What you saw was something that looked like one.
Look what they've done.
Oh, they shot out the boat, unfortunately.
Quick! He's coming!
And I had no idea the first Bond film was set in such a tropical place. Classic dreadful music.
Are you going to arrest Dr. No?
Well, someone is.
Pretty sure he killed my father.
Oh.
Didn't anyone in Kingston help?
Whatever's coming, it's coming this way.
Stay where you are, all of you.
This is the dragon.
The dragon that runs on diesel engines.
Oh no. Quarrel is dead.
Come on. Keep an eye on the man.
Check that Geiger reading.
Oh. The island's full of radiation, and that's why they're wearing all these suits, and they've been exposed to radiation.
Reading 38.
I love the lighting work here. The red lighting is completely unnecessary, but it adds to the atmosphere.
He'll be delighted if you join him for dinner.
Have you any idea what they're going to do with us?
If Dr. No's objective is to kill Bond, he can do it right now. He's unconscious, just... But nope. They have to have a long conversation, I'm sure. I'm smiling because this is a stereotypical villain's lair. It is underwater.
$1 million, Mr. Bond. You were wondering what it cost.
Dr. No.
I was the unwanted child of a German missionary and a Chinese girl of good family.
Ah, he's German Chinese.
I escaped to America with $10 million of their dollars.
That's how you financed this operation.
My work has given me a unique knowledge of radioactivity, but not without costs.
That's how he lost his hands.
When my mission here in Crab Key is accomplished, I destroy it and move on. I agree, this is no place for the girl.
Does the toppling of American missiles really compensate for having no hands?
Missiles are only the first step to prove our power.
Our power?
I'm a member of Spectre.
Spectre.
Special Executive for Counterintelligence, Terrorism, Revenge, Extortion.
That's what it stands for.
The Americans are fools. I offered my services, they refused.
I never knew the full acronym of Spectre before.
They're waiting for you in the control room, Dr. No.
What do we do with him?
Soften him up. I haven't finished with him yet.
So Dr. No intended James Bond to join Spectre, and that's why he was treating him nicely. But obviously Bond isn't interested. I didn't see Bond using too many gadgets in this film, so I'm guessing that's a later invention. And I wonder how much of the stunts were actually done by Connery, because this is clearly done by him. Alright. Back in the days where there were no security cameras. He could just sneak in anywhere. Beautiful set. This is a set, and that's something they actually made for the film. Danger level. But holy crap, that's actually looks like a reactor, a nuclear reactor.
Remain on standby, approximately 2 minutes to go.
I have to assume the water is extremely radioactive. Music is finally being used. He's dead. Dr. No didn't have a huge part in the film, but his role was pretty good.
Number 12.
Shocking.
Brilliant! The slowest way to drown ever. They could have put a bullet in her head, thought of 1,000 ways to dispatch her instantly, but nope. Let's tie her up and slowly raise the water level. I live for this. Seeing great practical explosion in films.
Come here.
Well, what's the matter? Do you need help?
Felix. He's finally here. Oh, it's not actually Felix. That's a British flag. Or a United Kingdom flag. Filmed in Jamaica. I actually enjoyed the film, guys. Please let me know which one to watch next. Okay, I took some time to collect my thoughts. First off, that was a fairly entertaining film. I wouldn't call it amazing by any standards, but I have to admit it was a solid introduction to the Bond character. And I would go as far as to call it a classic. I say that because a lot of trademark Bond moments start here. Like the martini or Bond, James Bond, or the bikini beach scene. I would consider the strengths of the film to be its score, writing, sets, Dr. No, and Bond's demeanor, while I'd say the weaknesses included the cheesy dialogue in some parts, which aged surprisingly well, by the way, the performance by a couple of the actors, and the pacing of the film, as I felt like it dragged a little bit in the second act. Let's start with the directing by Terence Young and the writing by Richard Maybaum, Johanna Harwood, and Berkeley Mather. I know the screenplay was based on Ian Fleming's classic, Dr. No. I'm not sure how faithful it was to the source material as I haven't read the book, but the adaptation was pretty good, generally speaking. I felt like the writers and directors intentionally chose to keep the story slow since this was the introduction of an iconic character. In the first act, we get introduced to Bond and spend quite a lot of time getting to know the man. We see that he loves women, martinis, and to serve his country. We also see a plot unfolding where Dr. No is trying to disrupt an American rocket launch by messing up the gyroscope to prove Spectre, the criminal organization, is extremely powerful. My first observation here is that we don't get to see the Americans or the rocket or anything except hearing exposition about it. I found it a little hard to follow. I think using the downtime in the second act to show more of the American rocket launch would have made the plot easier to follow. There were a bunch of colorful characters in the film, including Felix, later played by Jack Lord, being the CIA representative of the film. His character had a small but an important role in the film, giving both the audience and Bond direction and to help set up the plot. His performance was a little one-dimensional, in my humble opinion, and I couldn't tell whether he was a good or bad guy till he was revealed to be CIA. All he does in the film, by the way, is give exposition and then drop off Bond to his mission and then pick him up after everything is over. So I found that part funny. Ursula Andress played Honey Rider. Her name was a very, very stereotypical Bond girl name, and I have to say she was beautiful. Although I found her role to be a little unnecessary. I mean, think about it. If she wasn't in the film at all, would it have made a difference? She just slowed Bond down in completing his mission. I think she was mostly here for sex appeal and to give Bond someone to rescue at the end. Not that I'm complaining though, but the chemistry between them was generally good. I wonder whether the Connery Bond films have direct continuity in between the films, like the Craig films, or are they more standalone? Do let me know. And one thing I also noticed is the lack of gadgets used in this film. It was mostly Bond improvising, and it was him and his wits mostly. Um, this is a good thing because we don't get to see that all the way till 2006's Casino Royale. So that's a pretty good thing. I expected a lot of like weird gadgets and stuff, but I guess those are more of the 70s or 80s Bond. Anyways, the cinematography and editing of the film were pretty standard, to be honest. Apart from the dragon scene, I think most of the film was shot in broad daylight. Um, it was beautiful to see the country of Jamaica, which was a very exotic location in the 60s to a Western audience. Jamaica was shown beautifully, though, as a lovely and vibrant country. The beaches and the trees sold a lot of tourism tickets, I bet, for the time. Um, the editing in the film was kept simple, with no sharp cuts, even during the limited action sequences. Nothing negative to say about it, but nothing super positive either. The music in the film was pretty good though, but the main theme itself was great. It is one of the most recognizable pieces of music in cinema history, and I cannot believe it started here. It was used very well. In fact, the first time we hear it after the intro is when Bond says the words Bond, James Bond. That scene was iconic as hell, and the theme had to do a lot. Anyway, the general sound design was a little over the top, and but that's to be expected from an early Bond film. The gun sounds and the punches felt pretty over exaggerated, whereas silence itself was used to great effect, especially in the scene where Dr. No gets introduced and Bond and Dr. No have a conversation in his lair. The lack of music in that scene made the situation more intense than I expected. The practical effects were very decent for a 1962 film. The introduction sequences was very Warhol inspired, in my opinion, and the animation work was very creative for its time. Furthermore, the sets and props were very solid too. So were the locations chosen. I like the fact that they shot on location in Jamaica and didn't cheat using too many sets. I mean, there were sets, but not too many. Um, that set the atmosphere really well, and everything looked fairly realistic. Sir Sean Connery played Bond, James Bond. He was great in his role, especially considering the fact that he was responsible in bringing this iconic character to life. He played the role with suave and style. At no point in the film I felt like he was powerless, and that can be considered both a good and a bad thing, depending on how you look at it. Good because it shows that he's extremely competent, being a double O agent, and bad because without vulnerabilities, it's hard to sympathize with a character. Anyways, I have a question for you guys. Which one is your favorite Connery Bond film? Do let me know. Dr. No was played by Joseph Wiseman. Weirdly, I think he had the best performance of the film. His role was short and sweet, only showing up in the third act, being talked about a lot, increasing his intimidation factor. At first, I was a little skeptical about him not showing a range of emotions, but I changed my mind by the end. His performance really suited his role. He was rejected by both the British and the Americans, and he lost both his hands to radiation, and that made him hard and stoic. His death scene was a little anticlimactic though, with him falling into the radiation water without saying a word. I have mixed feelings about it since I was half expecting a final confrontation of sorts with Bond. On the other hand, I like the fact that it was kept somewhat realistic by not having some over-the-top dialogue in the end. As for criticisms, the main one had to be the runtime of the second act. I felt like the middle part of the film, especially the investigation parts, were a little slow. I think adding the American element, more specifically showing us more of the rocket launch and the backstory behind that, would have been a good choice. as I felt like the main plot was a little thin, not too much, but a little thin. I know that this is the first film, so it's a little rough around the edges, but overall, I think it was a fairly entertaining introduction to the Bond franchise. It gets so much right, from Connery's Bond and Wiseman's Dr. No, to the excellent score and locations, to the iconic but now stereotypical villain's lair, the music. Apart from the runtime issues, I really enjoyed the film, and I would highly recommend it to anyone who wants to see how this entire franchise began. It was a solid entry to the world of Bond. So guys, which one's next? Goldfinger? Do let me know. Anyways, thank you for watching. I have a Patreon page. Consider being a patron. Subscribe to the channel. Do check out my other videos. Like if you liked this video, dislike it if you didn't. I will see you in the next one. Bye.